Well, I went to the hospital, right? I went to the hospital with my dad because he said his chest wasn't feeling good. So we went, and when we went, it was probably like 7 p.m. We went, and there was a guy in front of us. There was a guy in front of us with a. Well, he was by himself at first, and he was checking in. I never been to this hospital before because it's Saint Mary's. I always go to Covenant. So when I got there, the dude was signing in, whatever. He signed in, but he had his head on the what do they call that shit? The counter. He had his head on the counter, and he was just like answering the questions the girl was saying. Like you could tell he was like in pain. You could tell he was in pain. And then he finished, and then we did the same thing. The girl started telling us a bunch of stuff, like like to fill out paperwork and stuff for my dad. And then after we did that, the people who came behind us was two girls, right? It was two girls, and one of them was pregnant, but I didn't know she was pregnant.
You can't tell, like she
Well,
had the stomach, or no?
I didn't really pay attention to her, especially because she's behind me.
She's just a big girl.
No, it was one of them was like a little bit big, but the other one was like real skinny.
Which one? The pregnant one?
The pregnant one was the skinny one.
Oh,
well, not like super skinny, but she was skinnier than the other girl. And I'm assuming there were a couple. But so after they did all that, we filled out the paperwork. The girl said you had to fill out paperwork. I filled out the paperwork, and then before I finished filling out the paperwork, they call you know how like they do that little checkup before they send you in.
Oh yeah, to ask you like your symptoms or whatever, or why?
Like the little room they take you in normally to check you. They ask like what's wrong with you, and then they write it all down. I guess so that way when you go to the room, they already have a little bit of information of why you're here. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? Well, they did that to us. But by the time we came out, we sat back down, and the guy told us when we went in there, when we went in that room, the guy told us, oh, like what's going on, everything. I told him everything. And then he said, oh, they're probably going to call you back there pretty quick. He's like, because they were going to do a certain scan on him or something like that. So I was like, all right. So we went and we sat down and we started waiting. And we're just waiting. And we waited 4 hours to get called into the back.
So you're talking about, from the original check-in, how you said they take you to the room to ask you preliminary questions or whatever. And then they sat you back down and you waited 4 additional hours?
Yeah, I waited 4 hours. Well, we got there like at 7, and when we got called back, it was 11. So counting from when I stepped into the hospital to when I got called back, it was 11. But within those 4 hours, well, me and my dad were just sitting there waiting, right? And the pregnant girl was there with the other girl. And then the guy who was in pain was there too.
For 4 hours too?
For 4 hours, right? Because we were the guy was ahead of us, but the girl was behind us. So we were waiting. And as we're waiting, nobody's getting called to the back. And then finally, one of the guys who was there before us, because when we got there was only maybe 2 or 3 people there. So one of the guys who was waiting there finally gets called to the back. And as time goes by, well, both of these people start getting worse. Well, the girl. And I could hear because she was sitting right next to us, to my left. She was sitting right next to us. And the girl saying that she was pregnant. She said she was pregnant, whatever, and she was having stomach pains. And then I look in front of us. It was all in the same section. We all sat in the same section. Even though there's plenty of seats, we all sat in front of close to the front desk. We all sat there. And the dude in the front, he started getting worse because he kept going to the bathroom back and forth. The other pregnant girl did the same thing, back and forth to the bathroom. And you would hear the dude, they told him, hey, you think you're going to throw up? And he said, probably. They told him, you want a bucket or whatever? He said, I'll just go to the bathroom. And you could hear him go in the bathroom. He's coughing hella hard, nonstop. And then he'll come out and he'll sit down. And then every time he came out of the bathroom, he was waddling back to the chair. And then we kept waiting. And then he started making noises. He was like that. What do they call that?
Moaning? Groaning?
Panting? Or what do they call it? I don't know.
I don't know.
But he was making noises. And then you could tell he was in a bad shape. And I looked at my dad. I'm like, damn, well, my ass is chilling. My ass is chilling. He needs to be seen too, but he's just chilling, and it makes me think like, damn, these people need attention more than him. So he's getting worse, and his wife, she goes up to the front desk and tells him, "Hey, my husband needs to get seen. Like he's sick, whatever. He needs to get seen. Like now he's getting worse." And they're like, "No, you have to wait." And then she's like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "Go sit back down, and you have to wait." All right. So she goes, she sits back down, and we waiting again. And then the other girl goes, the pregnant girl, not the pregnant girl, but the girl that was with her, goes to the front desk and starts telling her the same thing. She needs to get seen, whatever. She needs to get seen, and they tell her the same thing, to wait. So the girl gets on her phone. I don't know who she's talking to, but she's talking to somebody. I don't know if it's her relatives or somebody. And I was telling them they're not letting us in. They're not letting us in. And like I said, the girl and the dude are going back and forth to the bathroom. The girl comes back and she's like, "I'm swelling up down there." She's like, hella bad. So the girl's like, "Well, we gotta do. She's like, "Just sit down." And she's like, "I hurts." She's saying it hurts hella bad. So and then the guy too, he's still making noises. He's still making noises in front of us. So they were saying like, you have to. The girl was telling her like some crazy shit. Well, not crazy, but it's just like she was saying, go in the bathroom, stick 2 fingers in there, and do something to test something. I don't know what she was saying, to make sure everything's straight.
To the pregnant girl?
Because I think she was saying that the baby was coming out. And she's like, I'm about to, and the girls were like, she's like, "What do you mean?" Like, and she's like, "I think my water's breaking." She was saying that. And the girl that was with her was like, "Well, they have to let you in, right? They have to let you in." So she goes back up there again. She's like, she's in pain, whatever. She needs to go in now. And the girl's like, "I already told you, we have no rooms. We have no rooms. There's nothing we can do for you. You have to wait like everybody else." And then so they go back down. They sit down. And the girl is still in pain. Now the dude, he's continuing to get worse. Now he's like crying. He's like crying and like continuing making noises. And the girl, his wife, was like taking care of him hella good. You could tell like she was doing her best to take care of him. She put his coat on him and stuff like that to keep him warm. And every time he would get out of the bathroom, she would help him because I told you he was like waddling. So he was doing that like, ooh, he was doing that like crazy, like back and forth. He wouldn't stop. And then the girl goes up there again. He needs, I'm not sure where she was from, but you could tell like it sounded like English might not have been her first language. So, but she was telling her, he needs to be seen. He needs to be seen. And they're like, no, like there's no rooms. They kept telling her there's no rooms. And she's like, I know, but look at him. She was saying, look at him. He needs to be seen. And they're like, I already told you there's no rooms. There's nothing we can do for you. Go sit down. They kept telling her, relax. They're telling her, relax. And the girl sits down. She's like, what? No, something. You guys need to do something. And they're like, we can bring out the nurse to check on him. And she's like, well, okay, would you like us to do that? And she's like, yeah, do that then. Bring us the nurse. And she goes and sits back down. The other girls, the pregnant girl and the bigger girl, they had already requested a nurse and they were still waiting. So the girl heard that, like, we'll get you a nurse to the other girl. And she's like, we're still waiting for our fucking nurse. She said that like pretty loud, whatever. And then, what is it called? They were still waiting. And then nobody came out. Nobody came out forever.
From the time that the girl asked for her nurse, and the other girl for the dude asked for a nurse, there was a long time.
Probably like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And nobody came out. And me and my dad are like, well, my dad's like, look at him. He's definitely in pain. He's like, the least they can do is send somebody out and give him medicine, right? Like pain med to relieve the pain so he can chill at the waiting room longer before they send him back there. He's like, at least that's the least they can do. But they were just waiting, whatever. And then the girl who was pregnant, She like between all this time they keep going back and forth to the bathroom, and every time there you can see they're like getting worse. The pregnant girl was saying that she said that her water broke, and she was saying that I'm gonna have to have the kid here in the lobby, and I'm sitting right next to them, and in my head I'm like, oh shit, like I don't know if this girl is over exaggerating, I don't know what, but like you could tell she's in pain. So I'm like, oh shit. Like I almost like felt like, damn, like maybe I should go up there and say something to the front office, to the desk, whatever, front desk, because this is like crazy.
When I wonder if, because it's like it just seems like that's not the way shit should go.
To me, I was like, how can the rooms be filled? Right? Like how can it be filled? Like what if somebody's dying out here, right? So the dude's getting worse. And like like I told you, I thought about taking a picture, but I didn't, or recording, but I was like, nah, that's not right to be recording them, and it's not the move. But the dude's getting worse, and now he's nonstop crying and panting, or I don't know what it's called, but he's like, like he's like damn near crying, like nonstop. And then the girl, like you could tell she's frustrated, the girl that's with the dude. And she goes up there and she's like, yo, you guys need to help him. You guys need to help him. She's like, look at him, he's dying. She was saying he's dying. And the dude was like, the dude who was in the room, you know, who I told you brought us into that room to just check us real quick. He, every once in a while, he would come out and just look at the lobby and then go back in. So he came out, and because the girl already told the front desk, everybody at the front desk, and they were listening, she's like, I was thinking, she's like, let me try him because maybe he'll do something. So she told him he needs to get seen, the same thing. He needs to get seen, he's dying. And he's like, he's not dying. Go sit down. He said, go sit down, relax. He's telling her like that. He's not dying. And the girl's like, well, I'm gonna go to a different hospital or something. And then the other girl in the front desk was like, you can go to another hospital. She's like, but guess what? If we're busy, that means that they're busy too. And I just seen that and I'm like, do you realize, like, damn, like people don't give a fuck about people. Because like I understand that this is their job, right? This is their job. And they probably see a lot of shit coming through there, especially that one. Over there, I feel like more shit goes down over there in St. Mary's. And they just become numb to it because it's just whatever, it's another day. They're there, and while this is happening, they're ordering DoorDash or whatever at 11 p.m. No, like 10, 9 p.m., getting McDonald's, eating fries.
They were doing that?
Yeah, they were doing that.
So the people at the front desk were eating fries?
Yeah, they were getting food for them.
For themselves?
Yeah, for them, because I guess they work night shift, I don't know. And they were sitting there, right? And to make shit worse, right? To make shit worse, another lady comes in. And I seen her face and she seemed all bruised up. She seemed like her eyes were like black eyes. I don't know if she got beat up or something. And she was like walking. She's wearing like just a shirt. And I don't know if she had like short shorts under. I don't know. But you couldn't see because you know how she has a long t-shirt. So she walks in. And her shirt's like dirty too. And she walks in and then like she's like waddling too. So the dude goes over there with the chair and sits her on the chair and brings her to the front desk. And then getting all her info, the same they did with me and my dad. We're still waiting. And then after that, and she's just sitting there. And then probably like a minute later, 6 cops show up. I'm assuming for her, right? So she sees them coming in, and like she's seen them before I seen them, because when I guess she's seen them and she started heading into the bathroom because the bathrooms were right next to the front desk. So she started heading into the bathroom, but the cop made it in time and he put his foot on the door. So like when she closed the door, she couldn't close it because his foot was there, and he's like, "Come on out." And I don't know, I couldn't hear what she was saying. And she was like, "Come on out." And he's 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 like, "Come on out." And but she's like, come on out, we need to talk to you, whatever. And then they like circled her and they were talking to her for probably like a minute or two. And then she starts walking away. She starts walking away, like leaving the hospital. And then they were telling her, no, we need to talk to you, come here, whatever. And she's ignoring them and keeps walking out the door. And these dudes run in front of her and they block her so like she can't leave. And then they circle her again. And they're like, we need to talk to you, whatever, whatever. They end up putting her in handcuffs and they bring her back in and then to the front desk. And one of the, I believe it was an officer, a female officer that told the front desk, she needs to go back. She needs to go in. And they're like, we don't have any rooms. And she's like, what do you mean you don't have any rooms? She's going back there. And they took her back there. So I don't know if like, I don't know what was, if she needed to be seen. I don't know, but they took her back there and I didn't see that girl no more.
It's when I think of that, I don't know how hospital works, but it seems like people who are suffering like that, you would think that they're, because let's say you called an ambulance. When you call an ambulance, they take you straight into a hospital, into a room, or no?
I don't know.
Because if you go on your own and you have to wait 4 hours to be seen,
I think they drop you off.
They don't take you in a bed?
I think depending on, I don't know. But I'm just assuming, like, depending on your condition, right? Maybe they do take you in a bed, but I don't know. I don't know what happens there. Because what if they take you and the rooms are full, like they were saying? What happens there? You wait in the lobby or what? It seemed like I never seen this here.
Yeah,
I never seen like people being that blunt about refusing to give help. I
think St. Mary's is probably worse than Covenant because Covenant's a lot bigger name. St. Mary's is just, I think that's the only hospital. Covenant has different locations and they're for different stuff too. But yeah, I didn't know shit like that went down. Like you can tell that there's no empathy for people who are suffering. Like it's understandable that a relative is gonna be in panic mode because in your head, you know, a family member is dying right in front of you and you're at the hospital where they're supposed to be helping you and they're just making you sit and wait when they have the technology in a room right there to be able to help them.
They said that the rooms were full.
But I think I don't think that the rooms are full. I think there's always rooms. There's gotta be always rooms.
Like there's rooms. There's the rooms are full with a person. But I guess they just don't want to shove two people into one room because the rooms are not that big. So they wait for one of them to come out. And whenever they come out, they send another one in.
They're probably out of rooms for people that are on not critical condition. Like if somebody comes in and needs to go into surgery ASAP.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, if the rooms are full, right, I'm pretty sure they would take one out.
No, they got plenty of rooms.
Think so?
I think they got plenty of rooms. It's just certain rooms are designated for certain levels of severity. So if you come in for something that you're gonna die within the next half hour, if you don't get help.
But how do they determine that when you just go into the front? There's nobody that
usually the ambulance, because it's usually ambulances that come. You know how ambulances usually are the first on scene. They know by the time they get them and they get to the hospital already prepared. It knows, okay, we got the ambulance coming and got shot or a car accident or whatever. And then they can act accordingly. But they're probably in communication beforehand.
I don't know. But the girl was even like, the girl that was with the guy who was crying and everything, she was like jumping up and down. Like you could, and I could tell like she was doing the most to get him back there. She was doing everything that she could to get him back there because the dude, and I'm like, that dude must, to be crying and like making the noises he was making nonstop. I'm like, you must be either you're an over exaggerator or you must be in like crazy pain. And just the people in the front desk listening to that, because it was right in front of them for hours on end, right? Because we were there waiting for 4 hours and nothing, and not doing nothing. All they said, the dude came out and said, "You guys want a blanket?" That's all he said. That's it.
The
He
guy
better-
that checked you in, the guy that said that he
Yeah.
might come in fast. that
Yeah, the guy that we went into the room, he came out. He's like, "Y'all want a blanket? Y'all want a blanket?" And then the pregnant girl was already mad. The pregnant girl with the other girl was already pissed. The whole time they were like talking shit. They're like, "What the fuck I need a blanket for?" They're saying that. What the fuck I need a blanket for? They need to get seen or whatever. But the girl, the pregnant girl and the other girl, they were still waiting, right? Finally, like I'd say 3 hours and 40 minutes pass, and then somebody comes out and finally gets the dude, because this is right after the girl was made a scene and was jumping up and down, telling him he has to be seen. I guess it worked. Or I don't know, because I did see somebody come out right after, so maybe it didn't work, and it was just that the room got cleared. But they wheel you to your room like in a wheelchair, everybody. So they came to him and they let the guy was like get on. So she helped the dude on, and the dude started coughing hella hardcore, and like it sounded like he was gonna throw up, and I don't know if he did throw up. And the front desk people were just like watching him the whole time, and then he finally goes to the back, and then so they finally go to the back, and the two pregnant girls were like, finally somebody goes, right? And he's like, oh, well, the girls were upset too, because she's like, oh, he can go, but a fucking pregnant girl can't go. Because the girl was saying the whole time while she was sitting there, she was on the phone, she was talking to the other girl. She was like, we're never coming back here again. She was saying that. Like, it's never taken me this long to be seen. She said, it's never been this long. Like, this is ridiculous. And she was talking hella shit, mad shit.
I don't know what the reviews, because majority of hospitals I think are private facilities. So, I don't know what I don't know if you can judge a hospital. Some like, is there a way for you to look at like you would do a restaurant as far as reviews? Like when it comes to like,
I'm pretty sure, well, based on people's experiences,
the best hospitals, because it's like, I guarantee you, if the motherfuckers had money, this shit would never fly anywhere, right? But there's like, I wonder where the rich motherfuckers, where do they get taken
well,
care
they
of?
don't go to St. Mary's, because St. Mary's is like it's cheaper. So that's why I think that's why a lot of more people go over there, because they don't have money. And the girl was talking about, and she was saying that the pregnant girl, like after like 3 hours of her going back and forth to the bathroom, and she just kept back saying that her shit was swollen, hella bad. She was like, fuck it, let's just go home. She was telling the other girl, let's just fuck it. What the fuck are we waiting here for? She's like, who knows when they're gonna call us back? She's like, I'd rather just go home. I don't want to be here no more. And the girl's like, you know that if you go back, your sister's not gonna bring you back no more, or some shit like that. Her sister or mom, somebody. She's like, they're not gonna bring you back again. And she's like, at this point, I don't care. But they ended up staying. And after 4 hours, that's when we got called back.
And they stayed out there?
Yeah, they stayed out there. And it's almost like I wanted to be like, you can go first, right? But I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I don't know anything. And then especially everything was just, I've never had that type of experience at a hospital. Even when you walked in there, it was completely different, like than Covenant. You know how they have metal detectors? There's none of that. You just walk straight in. And it seemed like when we went in there, it surprised me, because it seemed like it was more like a doctor's office. Like you were going in for an appointment.
I never been to St. Mary's before. As far as you went to the emergency room, huh?
Yeah, I went to the emergency room. I've been there one time for our sister. One time. And I judged it then. And I said, nah, I don't like this shit. I told Shelly that. I said, I don't like this shit. She's like, why? I'm like, you could just tell the way they did it, because when we got there for her, I told them I'm here to see my sister. So they're like, "Oh, what's your sister's name?" I told her. They're like, "All right." And then they're like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna call the room and then I'll let you know. So go take a seat." So we go take a seat, and then after maybe like a couple minutes, she calls us up. So I walk to the front desk, and she's like, "Let's talk outside." And I'm like, "What the hell?" And on my head, I'm started thinking like, "Oh shit! Like what happened? Did something go wrong?" Because I've never had anybody. Because I guess to get away from the lobby, because there was a bunch of people there. So she took us outside. Well, not outside, just outside of the lobby. And she's like, "Okay, everything went well. Everything went well. Just we just had to make sure that she wants to talk to you guys, because if she doesn't, oh, we can't let you back there." And I'm like, she wants to talk to us. But what
Who were you with?
I was with my mom.
But
So
why
just
would you go outside though?
That's what I'm saying. When they told us that, when she said that, it made me like, "Oh shit, something bad happened." Because why wouldn't she just tell me that right there?
I know. And maybe she wanted to talk outside in case you wanted to give her any like pushback, where you're like, "I'm going back wherever, you're already outside."
Maybe that's because that place, they've had probably experiences like that in the past. Because like I told you, just from that one time that I went, look at all that happened in one night, right? And this is not me going into detail. There was so much more that happened, but it's just because it's so. I'm just trying to describe it within like. Hopefully, I describe it good enough to paint a picture. But from the pregnant lady to the dude crying in pain, and
the lady with the police officer,
and then the lady with the police officer,
and all this shit, and the people in the front desk weren't questioning nothing. They look like it's another day.
Yeah, it just looked like there were zombies. Not zombies, fucking how people say NPCs.
Robots?
Yeah, like this is just what they do. And that's why it hit me with like, damn, some people don't give a fuck, right? Some people don't care. And I think it's like you become numb to it because you see it every day.
So remember how me and you went to Covenant? Remember we went to Covenant, the emergency room, when just me and you? Remember when your chest was hurting?
Yeah.
Whenever I think of any hospital, I always think of there because I've only been to that one.
Yeah, because that's the only one we go to.
And so compare the experience, everything. Compare the experience that you had with my dad from the time or the time that me and you went. Compare it as far as like
everything from like staff to how they treat you, everything was way better. Way better. Like even my dad said, "I'll never come here again." Because it's such a fucked up thing to be telling people like, "Oh yeah, you can go to another hospital, but if they're busy, no, if we're busy, guess what? They're gonna be busy too."
Yeah, because
like that just seems fucked up.
Yeah, it seems like you're trying to jab them, like you're trying to win, like you're arguing with someone and you're trying to win.
It just does like. Why can't you be like, "Hey, like I shouldn't have to ask you, right? If you know you're busy, because when you go in and you fill out your paperwork, they don't tell you, just so you know, there's gonna be like a 3-hour wait, or it might. I don't know how long you're gonna be waiting because people have been waiting here for 3 hours already. So we're just letting you know ahead of the time. So depending on how bad you are, I'm just letting you know. That's what I would say. And then on top of that, witnessing, if I was working in the front desk and I'm witnessing all this shit from the pregnant girl who was saying that she's gonna give birth there and whatever, and she said, she mentioned the time where they actually somebody she knew had to give birth in the lobby. I don't know how real that is. I don't know if that was here or a different place, but I was like, that's crazy. But if I'm watching all this, right, why wouldn't I take it upon myself to call another hospital and let them know, "Hey, I got patients here who need to be seen, but we're extremely busy here. How are you guys doing over there?" And then just making that courtesy call and calling them. And if they're like, "Okay, we don't have that much people over here, or we do, or whatever," then you could tell them, "Hey, I called Covenant. They said they have 2 less people than us, so you'll probably get a room over there faster if you want to head over there." Just helping somebody and just making the phone call, right? Because you're just sitting in the front desk anyways. And it just seems like to have no care for another human being. I think also too is because they judge you off the way you look. You know, if you come in all dirty and it looks like like they have, you clearly see that they're less fortunate, and they're just like, who gives a fuck, right? That with a blend of, oh, we see this every day, so probably that's why they're just like, cool, whatever.
For the girl that got the cops and got handcuffs, they took her.
I told you they took her to the back because the girl told her.
Oh yeah,
the girl told her
she's going back there.
She's going.
And you never seen the cops.
And the girl said, we don't have a room. And she's like, what do you mean you don't have a room? She's going back there. And they went back there. And that's why I said, like, what the hell?
And it's crazy because the cops, you wouldn't think they have authority there. Huh.
Yeah, that's all she had to say. It was a female cop, too. What do you mean you don't have no rooms? And just walked her back there. Like a gangster. Just, what are you going to do? Like, and they didn't say nothing. Because what are they going to say? So I just think, like, to me, I was like, because I was talking to my dad and I was telling him, like, because the girl was telling back to that girl with the guy who was crying and stuff, she was saying he's dying. Now, the dude was saying he's not dying. And by the looks of it, who knows? Maybe I don't think he was dying. I don't think he's dying, but I don't know what's going on. But if he were to die, well, you have a lawsuit, right? You could sue the hospital for that? Or no?
I think you can sue anyone for anything, but whether or not you will win.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it's in your favor, or no?
I don't know.
Because if you're saying, like, this dude's dying, and you're just saying, relax, go sit down, he's not dying, and she's saying he needs medical care now.
Yeah,
it just seems like crazy that they can deny it. Because I told my dad, said, I told them, what if, like, somebody was hurt or something that was not clearly visible from the outside? I'm like, he's dying in the lobby for sure. Because there was just people waiting. And that's why I told you there was another old lady there waiting by herself too. Sleeping because there's nobody gonna call you back. And it took 4 hours for us to finally get seen.
The pregnant girl, it seems like that would be one of the cases where you would try to hurry it up, because you don't know what's going on with inside inside the stomach, whether it's how bad it is. So you would think they'd be one of the first ones that would go in there.
I know, but the fact, that's why I'm so surprised. I was so surprised that they were doing nothing, and they were just telling them to sit down.
And okay, so that's one hospital right here in Saginaw. Imagine how many of these hospitals exist throughout the country that are either of the same caliber or worse. Because there's got to be a worse one.
Who knows? I never seen one like that.
Yeah, I always thought hospitals were like Covenant. Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought that's the standard. I for whatever reason. But
because Covenant has you wait there too. But every time from what I can remember, every time I went there, the staff was friendly. Like, to be like, how can you, like, arguing with people? Like, we can do nothing for you. He was telling her, we can do nothing for you. Go sit down. The rooms are full. We can't do anything. He's not dying. Like that. And then
he just seems
go and eat their McDonald's and shit.
Motherfuckers were putting hella ketchup and shit on there.
All you seen was people coming in to bring food. Like, first the front desk, and then the people in the back. And then I was like, at this point, because we were waiting so long, I told my dad, at this point, fuck, I might as well tell because the girl came. A girl came in for food. I don't know, she was DoorDash, I don't know. And she had Chinese food. She had hella Chinese food. And I told my dad, at this point, I'm about to tell that girl, hey, bring me some too, because we're going to be here forever anyways. And my dad started laughing. But when we went to the back, when they took my dad to the back, I seen why they were taking so long. Because they don't do shit, like, efficiently. Like, they put the IV in my dad, right? You know how, I'm not sure what they're called, but you know how they, like, remember how they would do it for Alex, where they put the IV in and then they put a sticker and then they leave another thing open so they can put a bag or whatever? They did that to my dad, right? They did that to him, and we were just sitting there waiting, whatever. And then my dad said, they're gonna give me an IV, or because he seen the thing. And I looked and I was like, I don't know. I didn't hear the girl say anything about an IV. And he's like, well, they must gonna give me something. He's like, they're gonna give me medicine. Watch. And I was like, oh, I don't know. So when the nurse came in, I told her, is he gonna get an IV? And she's like, yeah, he's gonna get one. But that's why I put that there. She said, that's why I put there. He's gonna get one. And I was like, oh, all right then. And I didn't question it. I was like, okay, I guess they're gonna give him something. And they never gave him shit.
So they just jammed him in the thing for nothing?
No, they draw blood.
Oh,
They draw blood, but
she left it there.
yeah, she left it there, but with the thing just like poking out. I mean, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, and then when, you know how, I don't know what it was called, but you know how there's like the nurse and then there's another one that's in charge of everything? The one that's ahead of the nurse. When she came back, I told her the same thing. I said, is he going to get an IV? And she just looked and she said, oh yeah, we'll take that off. But like, I was just like, what the fuck, man? I was like, why would they leave it then? And then when we got there, we were just waiting. And then like, when it was almost time to leave, they came in and they're like, okay, we'll do a COVID test on your dad just to make sure. And they're like, oh, I was like, all right, then whatever. But I was like, why didn't they do the COVID test from the beginning? It only took the girl literally 2 minutes. And then we got to the point when we were time to leave, when they told my dad, okay, you have the flu and you guys can go. I give you some medicine. They're like, well, we still have the COVID test pending, but you can leave. You can just leave if you want. And I mean, it doesn't really matter. She's like, we're going to give you the medicine anyways. So unless you want to stay for the results, you can. And I was like, we'll just leave. Like, if they would have done that from the jump when they came in there and gave them, because when they got in there, we were in there for probably like 20, 30 minutes and they came and gave us medicine. When they gave them medicine, why couldn't they do the COVID thing? So by the time when we left, we would have known the results already.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. They're probably their management, whoever's in charge of managing how the whole system works, is probably not doing a good job.
And there was, when we was in the room, I could hear another girl in the other room screaming. Probably like 2 rooms ahead of us. She was screaming. She was like, help me, get her off of me, whatever. And they're like, we're trying to help you. We're trying to help you. We're telling her like that. And I'm like, I think people don't really think about like, this person could be, can have a disability, right? Or what do they call that? Like
mental disorder?
Yeah, mental disorder. And like and they're just, I think people are so frustrated so quickly because the girl was saying that. I don't know what she was doing because I can't see, I could only hear. And she was screaming. And in my head, I'm just like, damn, like what's happening over there? Who knows what's happening over there? And that's why I was like, this hospital is fucking trash. I'm like, I don't know how the fuck they can manage to do this. Like, because who knows, right? This shit happens probably every day. Like 3 things, right? How much things? 4 things that happen. That lady, I don't even know what happened with that lady who was yelling. Probably another crazy shit was happening there. You don't think
that's the lady that they took back with the cop?
No.
It didn't sound like her?
Oh, maybe it could have been. It could have been, but it didn't sound like her. It sounded like an older woman. But who knows? Maybe. It could have been her now that you mention it.
Yeah, I have no idea. You'd think that by now they'd be shut down. But maybe we're just we don't
understand or something.
Yeah, we don't understand what goes on in there. That's probably pretty common.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because the only thing I could think of is maybe they have people who go over there all the time and over exaggerate. And it's happened so many times that they're like, okay, fuck that. We're not doing that no more. People have to wait their turn. But I think you has to be somebody, like if anything, who comes out and gives them medicine, right? Or sees them partially. Hey, what's going on with you? This, whatever. Okay, let me see this. Let me see what we can do for you. We can give you this, or we could put you in IV in the lobby, right? How hard is that?
I know, because those hospitals are pretty big, huh?
It was a good size one, I think, but it was so different.
Then how many people were waiting in the lobby? You said
when we got in there, probably like 2 or 3.
See, that seemed like a little, like not.
And nobody went back there except for like 2 people in like 2.5 hours, 3.
Yeah, but how many
Not
people?
even.
Do you know how when the people come out, when you go to Covenant, when people come out, you see them.
Yeah.
You know how
You were seeing them too.
the people leaving.
Yeah, you were seeing them, but rare. It would take forever. And I think it's because the way they were working, though. I seen the way they were working, and they weren't working. They could have been working a lot better. At least, especially right when you're here, it's like a fucking restaurant, right? If you have 5 people that sit in a restaurant, you don't have to go crazy and go and start making the tacos crazy like super fast. No, because it's only 5 people. You could take whatever because you'll get it done. But when you see there's a whole fucking line, you got to get them bitches out, huh? That's the same thing with the hospital. Now I understand you have to get them out, but unless they need to stay there unless they're in like a bad condition, and then it's understandable. But people like my dad wasn't in a horrible condition. He just needed to be seen to see what the fuck he had, and then give him medicine and then get him out of there. That's what my dad needed.
Yeah, but the whole reason he went in the first place was because his chest. Huh?
His chest hurt, and he was thinking like, he didn't want to get bronchitis again because he got it. So he's like, might as well just go get checked right now, and then we can prevent it from happening, because that's what they told him last time. So that's what he did. But that could have been done. Like that could have been done in 2 hours, maybe even less. But we were there for 4, and that could have been seeing the other people who seemed to be like worse. Yeah, because who knows what that guy had, who was crying and stuff.
I don't know if he had a headache or what.
Nah, this was more than a headache.
Because he said he kept holding his head.
Well, he had his head on the desk at the counter when he got there, but after that, he was just wobbling, and he was just sitting down on the chair, like
it's hard to
trying to sleep, and he was just like crying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I guess this is just normal. It's accepted at least because it can't be new. There's no way this could be new.
Especially because they were so numb to it, huh? If it was new, you would think they would react. And then who knows what happened with that other girl? I don't know if like she got into a fight with somebody or with her boyfriend or something, because she was beat up too. She seemed like in bad state too.
No, I think the pregnant girl. The pregnant girl should have been the first one in, probably, right? They should have checked. They should have took her in there and make sure that it wasn't. That whatever was going on wasn't endangering the baby or her. But it's like I don't know how to do that. I have no idea when it comes to checking someone, like what steps you got to go through to make sure, or how long it takes.
Let's see if they're okay.
Or if a room is required, you can't do it in the lobby or what. I have no idea.
Yeah, but the whole experience, like I said, I would never go there. Fuck it, even if you had to pay more, right? Because if you're in a bad state, I think it's bad enough, right? Because you're when you go to the hospital, you're in the hands of strangers, and it's obvious that some people are not gonna work on you like if they were your son, right? If it was their son, they would be on that shit. But because it's not, there's just another patient. But to grade it or to rate it, I'll say probably last year was a 3.
So is there anything positive there that you were like, oh, they did something right?
The people inside, after we got called in, they were nice. They wasn't like.
But they only had to deal with so many people a day, huh?
Yeah, but they were telling me like, they were saying like, sorry for the wait. They were saying stuff like that. They're being nice. But the people at the front desk don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. Where's my chicken? That's how they were.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It feels sad. It feels sad to think that this shit, it happens every day, and it's probably worse. There's probably worse shit that happens all over the country, but you don't realize how much people go through, and it's like it's frustrating. I can see how people can get frustrated because all you want is for your relative or whoever you want in there to be seen, and these motherfuckers are telling you, guess what?
Yeah, and it seems like to obey them, huh? Like to just sit there and like just sit down, and then who knows, you like, because she knows her husband better than anybody, just like you know me, right? Like if I'm doing some shit like that, then you'd be like, damn, this shit is horrible. This nigga's dying. Or something like that. So that's
Yeah, because at that point, nobody would care about money. Nobody cares about money. That's why I thought in my head, if an ambulance is going to guarantee you a room, call it. Who gives a fuck how much money it is? Call the ambulance and have them pick you up in the parking lot and take you to the hospital. Fuck them.
But then again, you can be taking a place if for somebody else who needs it, who's in the waiting.
Yeah, but I'm saying
if you're in a bad,
I'm saying if you're in a bad, horrible condition and these motherfuckers want to be like that, I would just take you to another hospital. Fuck them. I would take you to another hospital, but it's like, it sucks. I wonder what a normal person can do to affect them, because at the end of the day, that's a company, right? All these St. Mary's Covenant, all that shit, they're companies, and motherfuckers. Certain companies care about their image more than others, but I wonder what the normal person can do to, because it makes you want to kind of get even with those motherfuckers, somehow. Because it's like you're all you're trying to do is get seen because you're worried about your family member, and these motherfuckers could not give a fuck. But who knows if it's their fault?
Knows? Yeah, who knows what you can do too? You gonna shut them down or what? Like,
I don't know, because it's like,
I just think like if anything, you just have to have people who de-escalate, right? Who the people at the front desk who calm people down, who are nice, who are right there ready to help you. Hey, what do you need? You want me to get some water for you? You want me to do this for you?
Yeah. It's like those motherfuckers
don't get up. I'll go get water for you. Just tell me if you guys need anything. Come tell me, and then I'll try to help you as best as I can while you wait for your room. But they, like I said, they didn't tell us it was going to be such a long wait.
Those people were doing the most minimal effort on.
It's like it's just their job. Like they were just slacking off. I just like, another thing is just the way you treat people. I didn't like the way they were treating people. Seemed like they just didn't care. That's why I'd never go back there again. Man, I said the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't know shit was like that. I'd never been there before, so I didn't know. Yeah, Covenant. Every time I've been to Covenant, you did have to wait a few hours, but I never seen anybody suffering like that.
Yeah, I've waited like an hour and 30 minutes, maybe, but 4 hours, and then you haven't even been seen. You just go into the back. Because we got there at 7 and then we left at 1:30. So what? That's like what? 6 hours? 6.5 hours?
3, 5, 6, 6.5. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hella long. When we and you went, how long we take?
We went like, what time did we go? 8 o'clock?
I don't remember.
I thought it was nighttime. That'd be nighttime.
It was nighttime.
It was like 8 o'clock.
But we did get there. We did come home like at 1, right?
I don't remember. I guess I don't remember.
It's probably like 9 or 10. I think it was like 3 hours.
It didn't seem
4 hours max.
It didn't seem like it was that long from the time we went there to the time we got out. I mean, it was long, but it wasn't.
And then it just made me think like, damn, like an hour ain't shit. Waiting here 4 hours is hella long. But I was just saying, like, I just might as well just leave. I thought about leaving too, but I was like, nah, like, because I was talking to Shelly. I texted her and she's like, well, might as well just wait. Because you already waited so long. What's another 30 minutes or whatever? So they finally called us back.
The older we get, that's probably everyone, but the older you get, the more visits that you tend to be. Like
to the hospital?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said, because I told my dad, I was like, I hate the hospital. I don't like going at all. Like, not for when somebody else needs to go, not when I need to go. I don't like being in there, nothing. And I heard somebody say, like, you shouldn't. That's who likes to go to hospital. You shouldn't have a favorite hospital. So, like, I was like, it makes sense, but like, I hate it. I can't. Well, I hate everything. Like, I'm not somebody who likes to go to doctor's appointments. I don't like doing none of that shit. I do it if I need to do it. I do it, but I don't like to.
Remember how when my mom was in the hospital, and so I didn't understand how so I went with her, right? They let me stay there, right? And then I was there with her for a few hours, and then I remember you came, right? And we were gonna switch out. You were gonna stay with her, and then I was gonna go back home, and then I left, and then they all of a sudden they were like, "You gotta leave."
Yeah, when they told me.
Yeah,
Yeah, because after you left, I went in there and I had taken my mom food, and I took her like in some coffee, and I guess when they seen me walk in there, like they right away came up and they told me that you could have nobody with you. I guess because of the COVID stuff, whatever. And I was like, my brother was just here, and they told me. I talked to the lady in the front, and she told me that it's fine as long as we both are not in there. It can only be one. The lady told me it could only be one person, and she's like, well, hold on, and then she left. And then I told my mom they're gonna try to kick me out. Watch. And then she came back in and she's like, yeah, the lady made a mistake because she's not supposed to be telling you that because she's like, your mom has COVID, so nobody's supposed to be with her. But we're already here though.
we all had COVID
Yeah,
anyway.
we were already there. Like we were already there. And she's like, yeah, so she was explaining it to me. And then I'm like, hold on. And I pulled my phone out and I started texting our sister Chelly. Started texting, hey, they're telling me I gotta go. And she's like, why? I don't get it. Like what Jesus was just there or whatever. And I said, yeah, we switched out. They're telling me I have to leave. And I was like, I'm just sitting there. And I'm not leaving. And the girl's just sitting there and you could tell she's looking at me and she's like, this dude's not moving. She already told me that I had to leave. And I'm just sitting there. And I told her, hold on. I said, hold on. And I just sat there because I'm not going to leave. I was like, I'm not going to leave. They're going to have to kick me out. Fuck it. And she kept telling me, and I said, let me do, and I told her, let me do something real quick, and then I'll see if I'll leave. And then that's when I kept talking to her, to Chelly, and then she told me, well, if they're not letting you, they're not going to let you because they did the same thing when she took her husband over there. She said they didn't let her stay. So they're like, there's nothing you can do. They're gonna kick you out, basically. So then after that, I sat there and I was like, well, I talked to my mom for a little bit and then I made sure she had everything she needed. And then I was like, all right, now I'll leave.
And they're probably not accustomed to people that.
It's because nowadays I'm too nice. And sometimes it's because I don't like being mean to nobody no more. But I think sometimes I can't just be letting shit slide. I think some like that maybe they were in the right, whatever. But I'm just not saying like particular to that situation. I'm just saying in general. Sometimes I'm too nice, and sometimes I say some shit, but I don't say it because I'm like, for what, right? But sometimes I'm like, nah. I think like now, if shit needs to be said, I'm gonna say it. Like I'm not gonna hold my tongue just to be nice or just whatever because. Like some people in their minds, they think they got the better of me. Like, oh, look, I just told you to do something, you did it or something like that. And it's like, nah, you don't know who you're talking to. But it's just because me, I'm in a different stage of like in my life where I'm just trying to just be a good person. I'm trying to be nice to everybody. And I'm in that mode so much that sometimes it's hard to turn it off. But don't get me wrong, I'll turn that motherfucker off. But if it's something serious, but something light as someone is like just telling me to do shit or something or being a little rude to me doesn't really trigger me because also I don't want to give somebody the power to trigger me. Now I trigger myself. So if I feel like this situation needs to get handled by like it's because they won't even know it because they just see me like oh chilling. But that when they told me to leave, that's why after I did all that, I left when I wanted to basically. But it was literally like 5 minutes later after they told me. I just told mom, so I was like, what do you want me to do? She's like, well, if they're telling you to leave, just to leave then. Now you gonna be all right? She was like, well, yeah. She said, because I told her, well, I'm her translator. And they're like, well, we'll get her a different translator. But it's almost the same shit, right?
But I don't understand. I was there forever. So Chelly came in with her originally when they picked her up. She went in an ambulance at like 3 a.m, right? And then Chelly went to the hospital with her, and then around like 7 or 8 o'clock, and then I went in and I told Chelly, "Okay, you go home, and I'll stay with her." And then so she left, and we came home, but it was a different lady outside in the front. There was a different lady out there. By the time you got there, there must have been a shift change.
Yeah.
And so then I was there. Nobody said shit to me.
But that's why. So some people allow it and some people don't. That's like what we gotta go by rules, right? But it could be true that they said that we didn't know she had COVID. So when you have, but I'm already exposed. If that's the case, right? I'm already exposed. They could just be like, you have to wear a mask. If they said you have to wear a mask and you have to wear a face shield, if they said that, I'll say, oh, okay then. Right. So when our doctors come in, we don't have to worry about you giving us the virus too. But I understand the risk of you have to 2 people instead of 1, right? I guess they have double the chances of getting it because if I'm touching shit or something, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they only want 1 person there. But it seems like sometimes you have to argue, huh?
Well, I think if you don't argue, there's 0% chance
that you get your way.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get their way, even when you're in the right. And I've seen that because I don't really like arguing with people. But our sister will. She will argue more. And then you see her like, oh shit, she changes the way shit was supposed to go. And then it shows me like, okay, then yeah, I need to argue sometime because if I argue and it benefits, it's in our favor, then sometimes I have to. I can't just let these people do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I always it seemed it just takes a lot of energy to start arguing with motherfuckers, huh? But like I guess sometimes it just needs to be done.
Yeah, because sometimes they'd be like, I remember our sister, she said that when she was in the hospital that I don't remember who it was, but they didn't want to give the person she was with medicine. And she's like, I'm telling you to give him medicine, whatever. And they're like, we can't do that. And she was arguing, like, what do you mean? Oh, I think it was her son. She was like, what do you mean? I'm his mother. I'm telling you to give him medicine. It's not like he already had a dose or something. Not like that. It was just that they didn't want to give it to him or something. And she's like, I'm telling you, I'm his mother. And she said that the girl got mad, but she came and gave him medicine. But I don't give a fuck if you're mad, right? The point is, when we go to the hospital, is to get. We shouldn't ever go to the hospital and have to argue with the person who's giving you care, to give you care, huh? That's just it. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just it just comes down to they need to be better trained. I think the people at certain medical places need to be trained.
But it's because they're trained as doctors, right? But are they trained to de-escalate and calm stuff down and be helpful and be like that? Are they trained in that too?
I don't think so.
They're just trained in like you have CPR, this.
I wonder if like when a doctor goes into like a medical school, if there's any courses on like the social dynamic between doctor and patient, and because you're gonna get motherfuckers that are gonna be upset. There's just because they're in a hospital, right? And sometimes you're telling them shit they don't want to hear, or just that, or I don't know. But this reminds me of remember when Alex is our youngest brother, and I remember when we took him to the hospital he had that surgery for the back of his knee.
Yeah, it's his hamstrings.
Because they were so tight, they wanted to cut something or some shit to let them extend fully.
Extend more. Because they said that if they extend more, then it would give him more likelihood to be able to walk.
Yeah, because he doesn't walk. He doesn't talk. But he had the surgery, right? He had the surgery, and I never understood like how the hell. So he was awake, and the lady came. So they were saying all of a sudden he can't pee. Because they're medical professionals. They said that certain motherfuckers need to pee in so many hours. They need to pee at least this amount, and he wasn't peeing in the time frame that they wanted, the amount that they wanted. So they said that they need to put a catheter in him. right? And we at the time we don't know. We always trust doctors because we feel like they know what the fuck they're doing, so they know what the hell's best. So because these motherfuckers said they're gonna put a catheter in them, we didn't question it because we thought they knew what the fuck they were talking about. And so they put a catheter in them, right? And the lady, I remember the older lady that put it in didn't know what the fuck she was doing. And you can tell Alex is in pain. He's awake. They're putting it in him, and the lady's trying to do whatever the fuck you got to do to get it all the way inside, and she just gave up. She just gave up and then left the room not even all the way in, just midway. She just left the room.
What'd she say?
She didn't say nothing. She just left. And so then I remember Chelly, it was Chili or Nora, went outside and got a different, and then like waved another girl down. And she's like, what happened? The lady just walked away. She left. The catheter is not fully even in yet. And she's like, I don't know why she did that. And then she left. And then another girl came and then finished putting it in. And we are like, what the hell is going on? Right. And Alex, to this day, we're like, why did we let that shit even happen?
I wasn't even there though. I wasn't there.
I think it was just me, my dad, and Nora and my mom. And this was pre-COVID. This was way pre-COVID. So they allowed a lot of shit ton of motherfuckers in there. It didn't matter. But it's like since then, that taught me that it doesn't matter if you're a hospital. These motherfuckers
sometimes they're not gonna know
they don't
what
know
the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
And they were giving you more medication because the medication that we're giving them is what led to him not being able to pee, supposedly, right? That's why they were giving him different medications. And they were saying that we don't know about how this medication is going to react. And I was saying, what do you mean? You're a doctor. You're supposed to know. And that's why I said, like, I remember like seeing Alex in the pain he was in. And I just like, I feel it. More than anything, when it comes to him, I feel it. And anything when it comes to him, it like, nothing in this world can anger me than that. When you mess with that kid, nothing. I'll turn into something else. Especially because my brother doesn't know, so I feel like he depends on us, right? He trusts us, and we're all he got. So we have to defend him because he can't speak for himself. So that's why that goes back to like, yeah, there's no biting tongues, especially
when it comes to him.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, that's why.
When it comes to him, I don't give a fuck about nothing else, and I don't care how people view me because it's like, this is my brother. This is like my life too. So when it comes to him, I don't want him to suffer anything. I don't want him to go hungry. I don't want him to feel hunger. I don't want him to be sick. I don't want him to have any trouble. None of that shit.
Yeah, smooth sailing on.
And this reminds me when I took him to the doctor. I took him to the doctor just for a normal visit. And we went to the doctor and everything. Everything's fine. And on our way out, I don't know if it was a homeless man, but he's like, hey man, he's like, you don't have a buck or something, and he was trying to start a conversation with me, and I ignored him. And the reason why I ignored him was because I was pushing Alex into the van, and it was cold, and I was like, I'm not stopping to talk to this dude, and my little brother's gonna get cold. I'm sorry, but I don't give a fuck. And regard if that makes me a bad person, it is what it is. But I'm sorry, right? Like if I was there by myself, I would have listened to whatever you had to say. But because I had my brother with me, I don't give a fuck. I got in the car, got him in there, and I was like, because I'm not gonna. When it comes to him, I'm not even gonna allow a slim possibility of some shit popping off, right? When it comes to him, and I know I'm looking at it at the extreme. Because who knows, maybe he just wanted $1 and that's it. But I'm not gonna allow anything, like any opportunity, when it comes to him, because I'm taking care of him and that's it. When I'm with him, I'm his security guard. I don't give a fuck what's going on in the world. Just like the security guard handles the celebrities and shit, He don't give a fuck about nothing. Somebody else could be dying over there. He don't give a fuck. He's taking care of his.
Yeah.
That's what I guess how I gotta be with him. Just whatever, just straight into the car. Boom, boom. Because I'm not gonna allow him to be cold just to have a conversation with this guy.
I know, and it weighs on you when something happened that you could have avoided, right? Or it was your mistake. That shit weighs on you, and you think about it for a long time. I remember I was giving him a bath. And the water was getting a little cold, right? Because he's been there for a little bit, because we let him play in the water every time we give him a bath. And I remember it was getting a little cold, so I turned the hot water on, and he was, you know how he always sits on his knees. He'll sit on his knees, and he'll sit like his feet will be sitting on his butt, and he'll be just on his knees sitting down in the bathtub sometimes. And I always tell him.
Well, normally he don't sit like that.
Normally he sits
on his butt.
Yeah, like crisscross type shit.
But that time,
this time I went there, he was sitting on his knees, and I always tell him, hey, don't sit like that, right? Sit down right. So I was telling him, sit down right, but he wasn't moving. So I said, well, before he does that, I'll turn the water on. And I turned the hot water on, and then he decided to do it, right? But I wasn't paying attention to his kneecap, and his kneecap was sitting above the water, and the water was hot, and it hit the kneecap when he moved it for like a second, and then I noticed it, and then I put my hand over top of his kneecap so it wouldn't burn his kneecap, and then I turned the water off. But for whatever reason, when Alex feels pain, he just freezes. So he didn't say nothing. He didn't scream. He didn't do nothing. He just froze. But I noticed it like a half a second after it hit him. So I put my hand over him, and I knew like, oh, it probably burned him because my hand stung, and it was my hand, and this was his kneecap. So I was like, little shit like that happens where you're like, that's on me, because I told him to sit. I should have expected him to do that, and I didn't catch it in time.
It's because with him you have to. It's a whole different level, because like you said, he doesn't tell it. He doesn't explain himself if he's in pain or something's going on. You have to be able to look at him and be a damn doctor yourself. You know, okay, what's going on with him? He's not eating this. Okay, why is he not eating? Because he might have a sore throat, or his throat might hurt, or this. You have to diagnose him yourself, and nobody can diagnose him like my mom, not the doctors either. And that's why I respect when a doctor says that, because I've been in the hospital and they said when I've been with him in the hospital, the doctor has told us like, you guys know him better. And she told him, he's like, tell your mom, you guys know him way better than me. So you tell me too. Like, we're working together. I'm gonna do what's best for him. But if you see that I'm doing something and you think that it could be done in a better way, she's like, you let me know, because nobody knows that kid better than you. And I respect the hell out of somebody who can say like that. Somebody who could say that, because that's the truth. But I don't know if it's somebody's pride or ego, right? Because some people would be like, no, I'm the doctor. I know what to do and you don't. But nobody knows how to take care of him like my mom does.
I know. That's why I always tell them they should do the best to take care of themselves, because as soon as we start losing pillars, you know, the weight of everything becomes harder on everyone else. And I feel like the system we have now is damn near perfect. So we just need to try to give him the best life he can for as long as we can manage.
Yeah, because with him, it's teamwork. It has to be teamwork. Everybody got to play a role. Everybody. And then when it comes to him, I would never leave him. I don't give a fuck how old I am. I would never leave him because he needs me. And like I told you before, and he would do the same for me. So I owe it to him. And it's not even that. That's not the main reason why I do it. I do it because he's my brother. But I also think like I know he would do it for me. And like I told you, in some universe, in another place, he's taking care of me. And just it being my brother, I can never leave him. And that's why when some people have a kid, right, who has a mental disorder or a disability, some may be ashamed or some may feel like the task is too big, so they'll just rather give them to somebody else who could take care of them. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, how can you disown your kid like that? Nah, you gotta take that. Huh? That's your kid.
It some people are, you can tell some people, because some people can't take care of their, are not, they're not, they can't raise their kids, right? They're shitty parents. There has to be shitty
But
parents on the
I
world,
feel
right?
like you have to adjust though. You would adjust with a kid like that.
But I also feel like there's no one to be, no matter where you give your kid to, the care is never going to be best. It's never going to be better than the care you provide at home when it's a relative.
Yeah, because how are they going to care more as your brother or your sister or your mom or whatever? And how is a stranger going to care for your family member like you would? It's just not possible. It's just a job to them. I'm sure they would take care of them. And I'm sure there's some people who go beyond because they get in that field to genuinely take care of people because they know that maybe they feel the same way we do. Like these people were abandoned, right? Or let's try to make the best out of it now. So I understand there's good people, but I can never do that. Can never do. And to see that, and it reminds me too of the story my mom said about one of her friends that she knew. She said that her kid had seizures too, like Alex. That he would have seizures and um, it would annoy her, like it would agitate her. And she said that, and he would actually talk though, and he would say, "Oh, I guess he would tell him like make me food or like make me something." Or something along those lines. And because they would be irritated with him at times, they would put spices in his food so he can be hot. So shit can be hella spicy for him, and he won't ask for it no more or some shit like that. Because I think he always wanted like potatoes or something. He would make me potatoes, and I guess it got annoying for the mom, and so she just loaded it with chile, like a bunch of spices. And then she said that he would have seizures, and they would just leave him there. He would just leave him there. And then like he would just lay on the floor and have seizures, and then she would just leave him there. And one day he had a seizure and he was in the living room, and they're like, "Oh, just leave him there. He'll be all right. Like we'll check him in the morning." And then when they got up and they went to the living room, he was dead. And I'm like, it's hard for me to like how can you be so heartless, right? To a kid who needs you, and you just leave him there while he's having a seizure because you're just so I understand that sometimes because Alex he's hard to deal with. I get it. Sometimes he gets me mad too, but I would never do that. Like it just that's crazy. Like to do that to somebody.
I think that girl was a lady mom went to school with when she was learning English. I think that was one of the ladies that told her that story. But that lady said, I do remember mom telling me that the lady, so that the kid would ask for milk or some type of sippy cup of some sort, and she would dip the tip, she dunked the where you drink out of
The cap.
She would dip it in. She would like rub a chile on it so that he would get when he drank it, so he wouldn't ask for another one. That's what mom told me that lady said she would do. And you would think like all this shit is gonna get paid back to them tenfold.
Yeah, but because she said now she regrets it. And now that she thinks about her kid and stuff, but like he's good. It's too late now. What do you mean?
Yeah,
it's just like I don't know how you can just watch that and just say fuck them, like, because that's really what it is. That's what it feels like to me. When you just leave them there, it's like something happening to you right now. You're just having a heart attack, and I say, "Well, podcast over," and I just leave. He'll be all right. I'll check on him tomorrow. And you're like, "Nah, you need to take me." I'm like, "Nah, yeah, all right." And tomorrow I come back down here and you're dead. And then I'm like, "Oh, I cared so much about him." No, that's just. And even though it may be true, who knows? I don't know what she's feeling, because I'm sure, like, maybe she never thought that it would go this far and she would lose her kid. Maybe she was just irritated in the moment, because taking care of a kid like that is hard. And I don't think that you won't know that unless you deal with somebody in your family who has a mental disorder where you have to take care of them like nonstop. Because my brother can't even eat by himself. We have to feed him because he can choke on hard foods and stuff like that. So you have to be watching him. So when somebody depends on you like that, like and you just say fuck them, like nah.
No, that's why. Remember, my mom told us that when they first diagnosed Alex a few years in, I think it was. But I remember that his doctor told my mom that kids like this won't see 13 years of age.
Yeah, there's similar kids with his disability won't make
Yeah.
it. So just saying, like, just giving you a life expectancy, I guess, to prepare you, maybe.
And
And even when we go to the doctors, they say, like Alex, for his condition and everything, he's well. Like you could tell his weight's good, he's eating good. Like you could tell he looks good. Shit, the doctor always tell him, you guys are doing an amazing job. And they always tell us like things that we can do to take care of him even better. But she's like, the girl always says, I applaud you because the care you're giving him right now, you guys are already doing an amazing job. But the things that we're giving you is just bonuses. Like what? Here's some of the foods that you can do to be.
Yeah,
he can be eating this stuff like that. But I think like for the average person, maybe I think it's because it's so hard. Like right, because we have a team, and there's people who don't have a team. There's just a mother out there who's a single mother with a kid like that, and for her to take that every day, I get maybe that's where the frustration comes. Right? Maybe that's why that shit comes from because it's so hard and you get overwhelmed until you can't take it no more or something like that. But you have to figure out a way. You can't just give up.
I think I think for a mother, I think there's to be heartless as a mother. I think that's crazy because it's like people say like you don't. The mother's love is like has no bound type shit. And I can see it firsthand, right? We witnessed that firsthand from our mom, but there is people out there. Like I seen a guy that was, I seen him on TikTok and he had a kid. I'm not sure where this was. It was either in Mexico or somewhere, um, Venezuela or somewhere, right? Somewhere Spanish speaking place. And he said he has a kid that he can speak to his kid, but his kid can't walk, and he got like something to do with his spine, so he's in a chair for majority of the time, and he carries his kid to school every day. He puts him on his back and he'll carry him to school every day, and I'm like, he was just doing all this by himself. He spends his weekends by himself. I mean, with his kid, and I'm like, this dude's putting in max effort, right? And he's doing it by himself, and nobody really understands what he's got to go through, and unless you know someone.
Unless you're in a similar boat, huh?
Yeah, and then you can see,
because that's why when I think when we came, like when I pick up Alex from school, it's different now because you remember how we used to go inside the lobby.
Oh yeah.
And now because of like COVID and everything, you had to pick them up in the back and different. We used to go in the lobby, and you would see other people picking up their kids. And I remember I had a Rubik's Cube. And I took it inside for whatever reason. I guess while waiting. And there was another kid there, like a small kid, and his mom was there too. And I noticed that the kid was looking at the Rubik's Cube. He was looking at the Rubik's Cube, and I looked at him, and then I'm like, you want to play with it? And then I said, it's okay, you can play with it. And he grabbed it, and the girl was like, no, it's okay. And I was like, no, he can play with it, it's fine. So she grabbed it, and he started playing with it, and you could tell he was like having fun with it. And when Alex came, she's like, okay, it's time to give him his thing back. And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Just let him keep it. And she's just like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. I was like, I have plenty of them. Don't worry about it. And I did have an extra one, but I was like, don't worry about it. And she was actually, before Alex came out, we were talking because she's like, oh, she's Mexican too. And she's like, vienes a levantar tu hermanito? And I was like, yeah.
She already knew?
No, she asked me.
Oh, okay.
She asked me. I think I told her. Like, I think she asked me, "Who you here to pick up?" And I said, "I'm here to pick up my brother." And she said, "Oh, okay." And then she looked at me and she smiled at me and she's like, I don't remember the exact words she told me, but it was along the lines of like, "You're a great person." She told me that. She looked at me and she's like, "You're a great person. I can tell." And then that's when I got up with her and she told me if my kid ever becomes a prodigy, that's because of you or something like that.
Roast you?
I didn't really know what that meant at the time. Like, and still like, I'm not, what does that mean exactly?
I think, well, in the terms that I've heard it, the word prodigy uses someone who excels in a specific, I don't know, a specific area, but it's like to the levels that have never been achieved before type shit.
Oh, well, that's what she told me. And I knew, I didn't know really what it meant, but I knew it wasn't a bad thing or nothing like that. And then I just got Alex, and then when we get our brother, we put his blanket on and stuff, and people just look at me. I put his blanket on, make sure he's cozy, and then I take him outside to the car. But I just me looking at that girl, I recognize her place, and I relate to her because we both have, we both deal with this. But you can tell, like, just when you see somebody that you can relate to that has similar thing, it's just like, I don't know what it does, but it's just like a mutual feeling that you get.
Yeah. When I remember going to Alex's school for the first time, and you don't really, I wasn't really ready to see how many kids, because I don't know what I thought I was gonna see, but you see all these kids with mental illnesses, and a lot of them are in chairs, can't walk, right? Some of them can walk, but they're not all there. And all these people that are there, I used to think, man, the people who, I mean, I still think that, but I remember from the first time walking into that school, I remember thinking, these people have to be some of the best people in the world to choose this as a career, to take care of people like this, right? Because the level of care that they need is crazy amount. It excels anything that a regular elementary school you're gonna have to deal with. And these people are doing it. They're changing diapers. They're feeding, right? If they throw up, they're giving them medicine for whatever condition they need to take their daily medicine for. And I would think like these people must be some of the best people in the world. And how many of these schools are there across the nation?
There's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them. And when I go, because I've been inside, I've seen Alex's classmates, and one of his classmates is just in his chair all day. Like, he's laying down, like he can't move or something. I don't know what his condition is, but he's just there all day. And I'm like that. Like, that's why it comes back to like, damn, I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful, like, for what my life is, and people don't understand that. Like, because some people are just born with a condition like that, and they're born and they can't walk, and we walk every day, and we whatever, we don't like, what is it called?
You appreciate it?
Yeah, we don't appreciate it. We don't appreciate a lot of shit because we can function, but a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people, I've seen people who can't even play video games because I think their hands, the way their hands are, like, their hands, they have deformities, or I'm not sure if that's what it's called.
Fingers? They don't have all their fingers?
And they figure out a way to barely play. And I'm like,
oh yeah, I seen a guy on TikTok. He had he played with his chin. He held it with his chin.
Oh yeah, I think I seen that guy too.
And I'm like, damn. So it's like people find a way how to play, huh?
It's because we don't appreciate shit that we have every day. But if you lose it, you appreciate the fuck out of it. Like being able to see, being able to smell, being able to taste or whatever. Because people have a lot of different conditions. And that's why I just feel like that's just why I constantly remind myself, like, I always got it good. There's like every day, especially like when Andrew Tate, he said, a bad day is coming, that He said, where you're gonna wake up and you're gonna lose someone or something like that. You're gonna lose a family member. Family member is gonna die, and save your sadness for that day. And it's true because, like I told you, every day that we wake up and we see each other and we see all our family members alive and well and healthy, it's a good day. What can happen? Like, who cares? And when you push it into perspective like that, who cares if you lose your job? Who cares? I understand because some people, like, you lose your job and it's hard to pay bills and shit. It shit can go deep, but at the end of the day, like, everyone's alive. You can always find another job. You could always, and then it's not the end of the world, huh? You got to understand that it's not the end of the world when something happens. When you lose a valuable or damage a car, crash a car, do something like that. As long as, like, if you crash a car, your thought shouldn't be like, fuck, I just crashed my brand new car. It should be like, damn, I'm alive. Fuck this car. That's all I say. I'll fuck this whole shit up. I don't give a fuck. Destroy the whole shit. As long as it saves me, then the car did his job. I don't give a fuck. I'll buy another one, huh? Even in payments, whatever it has to be. The car did its job. I don't give a fuck. Wreck that bitch. Totally, completely. I think when that's why I told you life is about perspective, the way you look at shit. You can be sitting here sad if you just look at the bad shit in the world. You can constantly stay in a bad state of mind if you just look at the bad shit. But when you just take time to really analyze your life, and you see how good you have it. That's why I say I got it good.
There's a dude at work that asked me, like, he said that because the way he gets paid, it's per job, and the way I get paid is per hour. So he said when you jump over eventually, it's you're gonna be a little bit more stressful. And I was thinking, I'm right now currently my stress level is like damn near zero. If I think it is zero, but I think it's damn near zero.
One of our cameras died.
So, yeah, I have nothing to complain about. I think my life is ideal. Everything in our life, I think, is ideal. I feel like we won already. If I have to work right now, like if I have to continue to work, and my life remains the same as far as luxury, the convenience and everything remains the same, then
we won.
We won.
We won already. Everything is just bonus.
Yeah.
Especially when we have, relatives in Mexico, which I seen personally. I went over there and lived how they lived. And I'm like, constant just reminders of how good I got it. Like, what the fuck am I going to complain? I got nothing to complain. So that's what I would say to everybody. They have to change your perspective on. I know it's hard, but at least try to do your best to look at the good in things, because now that I changed the way I look at things, I realized that life is great. Life is amazing. And I didn't think like that. And I remember I would tell you, like, when I would wake up and I'd go outside, I would look at it different. And I don't think nobody understands that. And somebody may be like, shut the fuck up. But I don't give a fuck. That's how I felt. I would walk out there and I would see this shit differently. And I'm like, because when you look at shit and you analyze it, like, what the fuck? And then when I look at the clouds, that's some of the most beautiful shit I've ever seen. So that's just me, though. But hey, you could, whatever. All I can say is I'm happy. I'm good. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And my life is great. I got nothing to complain about. Thank you for listening to the AB podcast. You can follow us in the links below. All our social medias are linked there. If you want to buy some merch, the merch that we're usually wearing in the podcast, you can buy it as well. The link will be below.